Hello folks, so in this video I'm going to talk about the kind of unhygienic conditions that can cause mosquitoes to breed around, right? So let me show you an example. So you can actually see over here, this is actually an abandoned house, I think. So you can actually see all the garbage, the waste that's around this place, right? Lot of old leaves, old plants and whatnot. A lot of tree branches, basically tree branches of a banana tree, I think. So you can see over here, and some tree and all, and it's all like abandoned. But the amount of garbage that is over here, and this can breed a lot of mosquitoes, I think, right? So you can see there's quite some garbage around, and there's a lot of leaves also. And if you see around, there are houses all around, right? So there are houses just nearby also. So this kind of garbage, though there is no water over here, it's all dry as of now. If it rains, it's gonna actually catch some water, and there's gonna be a lot of mosquitoes and whatnot, right? It is going to be unhygienic. And then just now I passed through a temple, and usually it's a Hindu temple, so usually you can actually see cows over there. So cow is supposed to be a form of god in Hinduism. So people like to worship the cow, and they also like to feed the cow. But the thing is, the cow is going to shit there, and the cow dung is actually going to attract mosquitoes. And the problem is, if it's raining, let's say, it's the season of malaria, dengue and all, which is, I think, dengue spreads through mosquitoes. I know that. I think malaria also, I'm not sure. But so now if you have mosquitoes around because of this cow dung, then you're basically causing problem for the people who are trying to come and worship in the temple. And it's not a good thing. It's not good for the people there, right? So I think it's important to understand some of these things and understand how it's important to clean up. Let's say the cow is shitting, then you have to clean up immediately. Or else, if it's going to stay there and rot there, which I noticed just now recently, just now when I was walking around, and you can also see with waste around, right? Like just like this, rotting around, slowly it will just catch up and it will call for mosquitoes. And the same is true for, say, dogs shitting on roads and whatnot, which is a very common thing in India. And they are street dogs, or even dogs owned by some people, like not street dogs but instead trained dogs and all. Trained dogs usually are walked by their owners. In the mornings, the owners come along with the dog, and they let the dog shit anywhere, but they don't actually scoop it up, right? In a lot of places in other cities, especially in parks, you can actually see the dog owners scoop up the shit, right? Dog shit. But that's not always the case, at least when it's outside parks, right? So yeah, I mean, these all cause more and more mosquitoes to come around and start gathering, and it can cause problems to people around, right? So if you're just walking around and there's dog shit and there's mosquitoes around, and it can actually cause problems, I think. So especially if it's a rainy season, I think you are more prone to problems, I think. So this is something to check out. At least be aware of, beware of, and be careful about, because I am affected negatively by typhoid, which is because of probably some food or water or someone touching me who had typhoid bacteria, right? So I need to be careful. I also need to ensure that I don't spread it by touching people. At least I should keep my hands clean and whatnot, and I should avoid touching people as much as possible, right? And isolate myself as much as possible, or like not touch people at least. because it can traverse and like spread through touching, and especially if I don't wash my hands. So I wash my hands a lot nowadays after this typhoid and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, I think it's important that people understand hygiene and the hygienic conditions that you should live in, and be able to recognize unhygienic conditions and unhygienic places like the ones that I showed and whatnot. And you get like this also, right? For example, over here. So over here, there's a lot of bottles and whatnot. It's all just over here for a long time, I think. When it rains, it's going to be a problem, right? So then it's going to be like, okay, so there's mosquitoes and right. So there's a house nearby, and if this breeds mosquitoes when it rains, it's going to be a problem for or the people walking around us, all around, right? It's not just like this one house. There are like many houses around, and many people. So yeah, I mean, it's important to understand hygiene conditions and hygienic conditions, and what is unhygienic, and ensure that you avoid unhygienic conditions, and maybe clean it up, get help from the say government, or say just people in general, and clean it up, and also ensure that it doesn't happen again, so that you just don't have to keep maintaining the place, because usually someone or the other is putting all this waste around, like this in this case here there is bottles and whatnot, and someone is throwing them, right? So basically someone is just randomly coming around and throwing. If there is a way to avoid that, then great. I don't know solutions, but I just think that this just shouldn't happen. There should be, say, public dustbins and whatnot, and it should also get cleaned up. The public dustbin should also get cleaned up, or else that will attract mosquitoes and whatnot, right, and insects and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, that's all I had for this video talking about hygiene. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.